Welcome to this one in a series of a number of town halls that we are having around the city in all 4 wards of the city. I am Mayor Adrian O'Mac, and with me this evening are members of the leadership team of the cabinet, and as well as our councilor for the 1st ward, and he will introduce himself, and then we'll go down the line and have members of the cabinet introduce themselves.
Sure. Robert Graham, 1st Ward Councilman, and I cannot forget to introduce my counterpart, 1st and 4th Ward Councilwoman at Large, Julian Cherry.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Abby Levinson. I am the business administrator for the city.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jasmine Hunt. I'm the Chief of Staff and Director of Communications and Technology. I'm Sylvia Mills, Director of Economic Development.
I am Director Childers of the Fire Department.
Good evening, I'm Chef Brown, Department of Health and Social Services.
John Louise, Director of Solid Waste and Sewer Utility.
Good evening, everyone. Warren Downey, Director of Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Abney. I'm the Director of the Plainfield Police Department.
Well, thanks to all of the directors for being here, and for the co-host of this town hall meeting, Councilor Robert Graham. And the agenda for this evening is your agenda. There's nothing written down. There's no plan to discuss A, B, or C. Our plan is to discuss the things that are most important to you. And so this is an opportunity for us to have a very open and candid conversation while we share some information. So before we get into questions and answers, I just want to lay the foundation by talking about a few things. We have been very focused on making sure that we provide decent quality housing to the residents of our city, because everyone needs a decent place to call home. And so over the last several years, we've embarked on a very ambitious redevelopment program where we have built mixed-use residential and commercial properties across the city for the benefit of all of our residents. But not only have we built market rate, we've also built affordable housing, and we have pledged that over the course of the next 18 to 24 months or so, we're going to build another 1,000 units of affordable housing. And we already have a commitment, I believe, of about 800 units, and you will hear more from our economic development director. So housing is very critical. And it's a challenge not only here in Plainfield, but across the state and across the nation. And that is why we continue to focus on transforming the blighted spaces that we've all seen across our city over the last several decades. And I must say that with all of the development that has been happening in the city of Plainfield, we've not pushed one person out. We have transformed the blight that existed from South Avenue down to South 2nd Street. We have been working on eliminating blight wherever it exists and replacing it with rentables. Rentables. I am talking about that 5-letter word, not a 4-letter word, but a 5-letter word known as pilot, payment in lieu of taxes. And all of these projects that have been built and continue to be built have generated and will generate millions and millions of dollars that will go directly into the budget to stabilize the property taxes for all of the taxpayers in our city. And we've collected millions of dollars in pilot revenues. When these properties are completed, they will generate millions and millions of dollars, which will go directly into the budget. And so if you hear anyone telling you that these projects, because of that word pilot, payment in lieu of taxes, if anyone tells you that these developers are not paying taxes, that is false. There's a different method to calculate the taxes that they're paying, and that is the pilot versus conventional taxes. And by having all of these projects, we are actually doing a couple of things, or even more. We're eliminating blight. We are providing decent housing for people who need housing. We are providing some commercial space, and we are generating tax dollars that continue to stabilize property taxes across the city for the benefit of all of our residents. And so that's what we're doing in terms of the housing that you have seen. The city is being transformed. There are additional projects that are in the pipeline and that will be built over the course of coming years. We have also been laser focused on recreation. We want to make sure that everyone that lives here, from the baby to our active older adults, have a good recreational experience. And that is why we have invested dollars in Mills Campbell Field right here in the First Ward. We have built or restored tennis courts, pickleball courts, the basketball court, and we are also looking at and have applied for grants and have gotten some grants to improve the channel that goes through the Campbell Park that takes water down to the seaway, so that we could help alleviate some of the flooding that occurs in this neighborhood. And so improvements to the Campbell are not only for recreational purposes, but we will make infrastructure improvements there that will alleviate some of the flooding. We've also done a great deal of investing in Spiderfield by building what used to be a grass surface with many holes that people complained about. We have transformed that into a multi-sport artificial turf facility. And we're investing also in the other recreational facilities there as well, such as the basketball court and things of that nature. And then we go down to the east end, to the west end. And all of you are familiar with Rushmore, which is now known as the Rushmore Recreational Complex. And we spent about $4.5 million transforming what used to be a dust bowl into a multi-sport artificial sport facility for soccer, football, as well as basketball and so on. But that was about $4.5 million. We are currently in phase 2, where we're investing another $7.5 million, building a new facility there with bathrooms, locker rooms, showers, as well as we are rebuilding the pool into a competition-sized pool. We're building a splash pad for everyone of all ages. And so we are due to cut the ribbon on that Rushmore Recreational Complex in the spring of this year. When you add all of those dollars up, we're talking about a $12 million investment in our fourth ward for the benefit of all of Plainfield. So we have been investing in recreation. It is important, and we are not focused on just one age group. We're focused on everyone that lives here. And then right across the street from City Hall, you all have heard about the Center of Excellence. And really, what is the Center of Excellence? It is really a recreation facility that would provide a basketball experience, an inside track, would provide climbing walls, would provide a cultural and artistic experience, classrooms for after school, technology that our people are going to be able to train on. And in that recreation center that is known as the Center of Excellence, there will be a brand new competition-sized pool as well. So it's going to have all of the amenities that our residents need. We call it the Center of Excellence because we want the people of Plainfield always to be in pursuit of excellence. Whether it's in swimming, basketball, soccer, whatever you do, whether it's sitting in one of those after-school classrooms that will be there, we want excellence always to be the pursuit of everyone that lives here. Hence the name, the Center of Excellence, but you can think of it as a recreational complex, a recreational facility. And it would be remiss of me if I did not talk about what we're doing on North Avenue. All of you are familiar with that warehouse that was there for decades, well over 3 decades. That was a stain, not only on that neighborhood, but a stain on the city. It was a harbinger of crime and all of the negative things that you can imagine. It was a blight which affected property values in the area. And so, through a partnership with a developer or developers, we tore down that blighted warehouse. We eliminated it from the landscape of this city. And what you will see going up there will be a brand new warehouse that will employ the people of the city of Plainfield. And that would be phase 1. And then on the upper level, there'll be another recreational facility. And I will leave the Director of Economic Development to speak more about that. There will also be a parking facility. So these are some of the things that have been happening. And I know that our police director is going to talk to you about all of the good things that have happened in terms of crime in the city and how we're driving it down and driving it out of our city. Our city is very safe. We are attracting people from our neighboring towns that are moving into Plainfield because we have made Plainfield a very safe and inviting city that's attracting people from our neighboring municipalities who are coming here because of the experience that they will have by coming to the city of Plainfield. And so there's so much more that we're going to be talking about. I will leave it up to the other members of the team to talk about some of the things that they are doing in their own departments so that you get the full picture. What I just gave you just a brief overview of what is to come, what has happened in the city, and what will continue to happen by way of economic development, recreational transformation, and so much more. And so we'll go down the line and just have some of the department heads give you an overview of what they have been doing, what they're working on, and how they're working for you, for all of us.
Good evening, everybody. Again, Abby Levinson, I'm the business administrator for the city, and I'm happy to answer any questions that come up. But one thing that I do want to speak about today is our EMS services in the city. As you know, a couple of years ago, we had a dire situation when the Plainfield Rescue Squad was suddenly shut down, and we were faced with the reality that there was no squad here in Plainfield. And we're very grateful to Union County, who immediately jumped in and handled the calls while we took a second to figure out what we would do. And hopefully everybody knows that now we have secured grants and contracts with both Union County and JFK, who are both stationed here 24/7, the 3 ambulances that are in the city at all times. And we are very proud and happy of the relationship that we have with them. We meet with them on a monthly basis. They both have directives that they can't have calls that are, I think they have a 10-minute maximum for the calls. We hold them to that standard. And we're just so pleased because recently we were given the numbers and we were analyzing them comparatively to the state average, and we are far exceeding the state average in terms of a response time. We have shaved off almost 2 minutes from the state average. And so this relationship has been incredibly successful. Like I said earlier, they're both funded by grant dollars. As soon as this happened, we went out and secured grants both for JFK and for Union County via shared services. And so this is just one of the things that I really want to make sure everybody is aware of, because I know that there was a lot of concern, rightfully so, when the squad shut down. And I want you to know that you are, Plainfield has 3 ambulances at all times covering the city. This is a more robust service than we've ever had before, and we're really proud of their response time and how they're taking care of patients. So I want everybody to feel confident and comfortable with the fact that the EMS services are taken care of, and in a way that we're really proud of.
And she said they are far exceeding the state average, and then she added some information there. What she's saying is that we are beating the state average by at least 2 minutes. So we are at least 2 minutes better than the response time that we would get from the state.
Is this 100% funded through grant money? Okay.
Hello again, everyone. I am Jasmine Hunt. And I want to give you an update on something that actually is very important to in how it would affect the quality of life for our residents here, and that is the almost $5 million that we've invested in bringing Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi to every ward in our city. And when I say to every ward, in every ward there's at least one park or playground that will have this free Wi-Fi. There are 9 parks across the city where that will have free Wi-Fi. They are Bryant Park, Hannah Atkins Park, Mathewson Park, James Sherman Park, Library Park, Maple Crest Basketball Courts, Mill Campbell Park, Rushmore Recreational Complex, Siler Field. And the other location will be the newly renovated pedestrian plaza, which will be at the intersection of North and Gavin Place. So what does that mean? Each park, depending on the size, will have at least 5 to 10 access points. Each access point can accommodate 500 users. So if you're in a park that has 10 access points, that's a maximum capacity of at least 5,000. And each one has a radius of 1 kilometer. So it's a little less than a mile. So that means that residences that are at least within half a mile of the park should also be able to access that Wi-Fi. Now, of course, we know how Wi-Fi works. That means, the more users that jump on, it can lessen the efficacy of the Wi-Fi. But for the most part, it's a very robust system. We're starting at 5G, but think about a highway, right? You have 6 lanes, and then maybe as you divert to different areas, it comes on till you have like 2 lanes. The Wi-Fi kind of works in the same way. So although we're starting a very robust system, depending on the number of users that are on the system, the efficacy of it could diminish. However, there will be Wi-Fi access in every ward in our city. Our vision and our dream is to have Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi in every household for every single resident of Plainfield, and we're hoping that will be phase 3 of this project. We just have to find the funds, but we have a way of doing that. Hopefully there are grant funds out there that we can take advantage of, but we're pursuing every possible lead that we can to get the funding for phase 3. But for right now, the other part of what's going to be happening in the parks is the increased camera coverage. So every park, along with the Wi-Fi, will have blanket camera coverage, so there will be no hidden areas where any kind of nefarious activities can take place in these parks. And the other part of it, which is that we're going to be implementing AI technology for weapon detection. That will help our police or law enforcement to have more eyes, more ears, and additional, call it manpower. It's AI, it's not really manpower, but it will be an additional resource for our law enforcement. So we can feel safer in the parks, we can feel more relaxed if we come there and we want to take advantage of the free Wi-Fi. And we'll begin to see more camera coverage across the city in general, not just in the parks. So overall, once we're done with phase 2 of this project, Plainfield is going to be a much safer place, more eyes, and more resources for law enforcement officers. That's my update for this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to give a very high-level update. We have some images that are behind that I can flip through later. But just to talk a little bit or expand on what the mayor already mentioned. So when we're thinking about where people are living in Plainfield, we have market rate, we have affordable housing, we have established homes, we're looking at rehabilitation. So what we've been working on towards the mayor's goal of 1,000 affordable units over the next 5 years, we have over 800 under contract. This ranges anywhere from looking at where we have the Fair Housing Act standard, the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls, where we're looking at behind the Center of Excellence, we have separate residential units. That's in addition to the Center of Excellence. That's going to be about 55,000 square feet of a recreation and cultural enrichment center. The mayor already mentioned that we're going to have multi-purpose space that could be for events, for rents. We also have the basketball court, the recording studio, and we're also looking at doing green building for the space. The residential behind it is completely separate. That's going to be 250 affordable units. The 250 affordable units, that's going to range anywhere from 30% to 80% AMI. What that means in terms of rents, that's going to range anywhere from $600 for a studio on up to looking at $1,600. Then when we look at other affordable housing options, we are partnering with other developers for affordable townhomes for sale. Some of those affordable townhomes for sale, we've developed the South Avenue corridor. There's going to be a development that's at 520 South Avenue, that's across from the Hall building. We're looking at 14 affordable townhomes there. They're going to range about $450,000 to $490,000 for the sale price for 3-bedroom units. We're also working with Habitat for Humanity for affordability. That's coming down towards the center of the west end of town, over by Lee Place, that's near South 2nd Street. We don't know the exact affordability units that we're working in there, but we're still coming up with the concept. In terms of affordable single-family and 2-family homes for sale, we have 6 properties buildings that the city owned at one time that were smaller sized lots that we developed a redevelopment plan where we could build modern, affordable homes for sale. There's gonna be 6 single-family units, there's gonna be 1 two-family unit. And also looking at how are we getting around. One of the things that we're working on with our urban enterprise zone, we're updating our strategic plan. This is a 5-year plan where we're looking at things like workforce development. We've partnered with 3 general contractors to develop a workforce development center that's focused on construction. This is going to allow us to do an adaptive reuse of the South 2nd Street Youth Center. So that's about a 26,000 square foot building. It's going to be 3 levels where we're going to have a certified apprenticeship program. We're certified by the U.S. Department of Labor as well as the New Jersey Department of Labor. There are going to be apprenticeship for the trade. So looking at construction, looking at plumbing, looking at electrical, looking at carpentry. This is going to be for all ages. One of the programs starts looking at the age that's from 16 to 24. Another one is looking at all ages on from 16 on to as old as you like, go to the 90s. You can go in and do the training there. Then we're also looking at some sustainability efforts where we can concentrate on sustainable development, whether we're talking about building with solar panels, looking at our electric vehicle infrastructure. Also, Director Davenito mentioned that. We're looking at developing a shuttle that we're getting around to some of these places. Going back to workforce development, we entered into a partnership with King University this year, as well as one of our charter schools with College Achieve, where King University, looking at the Millenburg site, focused on health professions, and health professions that's going from K through 12 on up to post-secondary, looking at different certifications such as certified nursing aide, looking at licensed nursing practitioner in those areas, and also looking at other training and doctor facilities. We are looking for locations of an urgent care, hoping for different partnerships that will develop from there. Looking for a location about larger attractions to make Plainfield even more of a destination. For those of you who are not aware, starting in the end of April going into May from Municipal Lot 6, that's right by Centuries Investment Bank, we are looking to break ground at a development that's going to house Delta's restaurant as well as 100 units. 10 of those are going to be affordable units, and that's connecting to what Director Clayton Hunt mentioned about the North Avenue pedestrian mall. That development, the developer gives as one of our community benefit the cost of the construction of the pedestrian mall. The pedestrian mall is going to offer, for example, cinemas on the lawn. For those of you that were a part, and some of you were actually on the mural of Alonzo Adams, that mural is going to be located with a digital information billboard that's going to be on the corner of North Avenue and Gavin Place. We plan to install and have the ribbon cut for that billboard and the digital billboard for that, as well as the mural coming up in April. Other things that we are looking at, we've already established with Council Health, entertainment district. In that entertainment district, we're looking for attractions such as other taverns and restaurants, looking at things for outdoors. The mayor mentioned about the North Avenue Recreation Complex. That's going to be a warehouse where it's about 112,000 square feet warehouse. And then above it, you're going to have roughly about 65,000 square feet of recreation. This recreation is going to be for tournament style sports. We are planning to see an attraction that really works at up to a 45-minute driving distance. We're looking at developing different businesses. For those of you who don't know, it did go out this week, or we're looking to do a business expo that's gonna highlight not only our small businesses, but our developers, talking about some of our restaurant owners. That's gonna be held on March 25th at Bank One Park. And we have a number of other things that I'll pause there and pass it on to some of my other colleagues, but I'm happy to go through any of the images and answer any questions.
And before she passes it on to our other colleague, I just want to recognize the presence of Councilman Charles McCray, who I believe is sitting in the back. As well as our Assemblywoman from the 22nd Legislative District, Assemblywoman Linda Carter. And I'm told that the Councilwoman from the 4th Ward is here. I don't know, but Terry Briggs Jones, I'm told, is here. Now we continue.
Good evening. Thank you everybody for coming. Fire department. As usual, the fire department is always willing, ready, and able to respond to any and all your emergencies. We've had earthquakes, floods, and various other things that have prompted us to buy new equipment and new training to be able to combat those things, such as floods. We've purchased some new vehicles that will be used to go through. They can go through snow, they can go through water, woods. They'll be able to go through everything. Those vehicles, we'll use those. Obviously, fire apparatus are not meant that type of weather. So these vehicles will be used where you can get almost anywhere in town, especially protecting our enterprise zone, which is our downtown and our merchants, and also the rest of the town too. We also have training is our foremost thing in the fire department, and we have a state-of-the-art training ground down at Engine 3. That's the firehouse that's on Burger Street in second, third, sorry. And they have a state-of-the-art training ground. They can do all types of training that other fire departments around here don't even have. And this allows us to become and continue to be one of the best fire departments in the state. We also acquired smaller vehicles that we're going to be using at large events. We have the Housing Festival, we have park, we have the City Hall, there's other events that go on. And a lot of times, obviously fire truck can't get to those crowds, and even sometimes the rescue squad. So we outfitted smaller vehicles that are going to be used to get through the parks when it's crowded, and they are outfitted with first aid kits, defibrillators, and things of that nature, so that we can also respond to emergencies. If we have an event in the park, where we are, we're going to get to you. Until the rescue squad gets to you. We also acquired two 65-inch LED screens, and these screens are going to be used for, since COVID, we had to find different ways to be able to reach the public and be able to give them fire prevention training. Normally we would go to the seniors and we would, do different things there, and to the schools also. So now we got these monitors, we're going to be able to record trainings, be it teaching the seniors how to cook properly without causing fires, and carbon monoxide detectors, smoke detectors, all those type of things. And it's also interactive. So you'll see these things that you'll post to that. You'll take the monitors and move them around town. So you'll see them at Richmond Towers, you may see them at 600 West 7th Street, you may see them in the schools, you may see them in the lobby of City Hall. And they're meant to be interactive so that you can touch them and they'll take you different parts, and you can learn about fire prevention. That's that way of reaching out, but without actually having to be there like in the past. So since COVID, we developed all these different methods that we, in order to reach out to. We just have a lot of different things coming up online. That's pretty much it for now. If anybody has any questions, I'll answer them later.
Good evening. I welcome the opportunity to talk about my department since it is the work that we do is relatively quiet. If you haven't been touched by the health department or any of those departments, divisions, then you're doing well. But I briefly want to go through what my divisions are. We are the health division, we are community development, we are WIC, which is women and children, we are PPAC, and we are social services. And I can talk about all of those. The one thing that comes to mind right now is that we all concentrate, all the divisions concentrate on the well-being of the residents of Plainfield. Whether it's for helping you stay in your house because you need rental utility assistance, whether we are working to find creative, artistic ways in which you can become part of the community through PPAC, if we are providing infant and children's services, which is essentially formula to make sure that infants and 5-year-olds and really parents and mothers who are pregnant have healthy foods and raise their children in a healthy manner so that they can go on and prosper in school and things like that. And finally, social services. Check out all social services as well. Now, social services for us includes what most people know as Plainfield Action Services. And it's through Plainfield Action Services that we do a lot of our, whether it's helping homeless, whether it is keeping people in employment, which we actually do a lot of. Over the last year in 2024, I think we approximately checked about 140 families in their home. The average family is about 4. So if you multiply, you think about how many people we keep off the streets. There's many models to look at how you work with people who are unhoused. That's one we are the most successful on because those are the grants that we get. And we focus our money, we focus all of our resources on making sure we keep people in their houses, in their homes, and that they're fed. We have strong partnerships with nonprofits. Most nonprofits work with us. And we couldn't do the work without nonprofits in housing, unfortunately. We just be abundantly clear. Through those partnerships, we're able to touch thousands of residents and make sure that whatever they need, we can make sure that they get. One of the things I'm most proud of is that while our budget is not that big, we do yeoman's work with what people would assume are larger budgets. I'm not putting it with a budget, I'm more money. I'm simply saying that we use the resources the best way we can, and we do the best work that we can for the residents of Plainfield. Now, I do want to bring your attention to PPAC. For me, it's one of our newest divisions, and it's been a lot of action that's happening. If you haven't been to PPAC, if you haven't been to any performances at PPAC, I recommend it. We have children's activities there. We have, older, active, adult activities there. I'm gonna get in trouble again. And those are exercise, those are yoga, those are taekwondo. It is really just a community space as well. We have art classes going on there. If you've not been to our Jazz on Park series, you're really missing an amazing series of music and art. And the art that was done for the mural was done at PPAC, which most people don't know. What we're trying to create there is a space, well, we're trying to enhance, because most people say we're bringing something new. Plainfield has always been a city of art and culture. Let it be really known. We're not doing anything but enhancing what is already there, and kind of being like a central focus. And so I really like to talk about PPAC, as you can tell, but we also have a lot of other divisions who are doing the good work. So again, if you haven't heard from our lead inspectors, if you haven't had to meet with our health inspectors, if you haven't had to meet with our contagious disease individual, if you haven't had to go to vital statistics, you did the thing, right? But that's all the work that that department does, and much more. We do senior center, we also do W House. The senior center is also happening. If you want to know what's going on, and I hope you actually know, that's the place to be as well. I mean, the last chance to questions that you have.
evening, everyone. Thank you for that. I thought that was a clap for me. Thank you for tonight for letting me come out and talk trash with you tonight. First of all, we've been really busy at the solid waste and sewer utilities since the takeover back in 2022 in July. A lot of routing and equipment size and locations were reviewed for efficiency, and some of them were changed out. So we're really busy with that. We had a really aggressive capital plan where a lot of the equipment that we received from the former PMU was really old and really needed to be replaced. So we had an aggressive capital plan in place where we spent over $7 million on our collection vehicles. So you can see a lot of newer vehicles coming out soon. We haven't received some of them, but they're on order and they should be here soon. We also have a $2.5 million investment at the Watchung Pump Station. That's for our sewer lines. So that building hasn't received any upgrades in the last 30 years or so. So a lot of pumps, the building will be upgraded, things like that. We have a lot of infrastructure upgrades going at the transfer station. If you haven't visited us at 95 Rock Ave, please do so. We have a lot of new renovations to the buildings down there. We have new scales. We have a new fueling station that allows us to be self-sufficient for any weather events that may come our way here in the city. I know when those of you that are here, when Sandy hit, fuel became a real big commodity. The new fueling station at Rock Ave allows us to be self-sufficient for at least 30 days. So it's comforting to me as an operational person to have that flexibility in case we get hit with a major event. We also have new trailer port for our collection vehicles so they can park underneath a cover, keeping out of the elements. We've had some issues with illegal dumping. So we're really getting aggressive with that. Last year, we had several cleaning events, outreach programs, partnering with local churches and community groups to do not only litter collection in areas, but go into areas where there's a higher volume of illegal dumping and knocking on doors in that area, introducing ourselves to the neighbors that are there, explaining all the different options, disposal options they have in case they have any items that they need to dispose of. We had bilingual staff members accompany us as well, so we made sure we got the message out any way we could. We also included an aerial inspector that drives the streets on a daily basis, looking for anything like illegal dumping or other things like that, so we can kind of get ahead of it before a resident spots it and calls us. And not only do we identify it, but we work with the property owner. A lot of times, the property owner is not aware of it, or if they are, it's a multi-family. Sometimes it's the tenants that put the stuff out there, and we give them options on how they can dispose of it, so we can get off the streets as quickly as possible. We work with our police department on things that we need to, try to enforce property maintenance, and DPW as partners as well. Now, services that we offer, again, we do curbside collection of household garbage. Anyone that's using our service gets 2 free pickups for household items that they no longer have the use for. So you can get 2 free pickups with that. You can do on demand where you can call, and you can schedule an immediate pickup if you have a hardship case. Pay by item, this is a new one. If you have a small item, you can call us, we'll send an inspector out to see what it is and see how we can service you to get that removed. I'm big on service, and we try to look at options for the community. Again, our Rock Avenue transfer station, it's open Monday through Friday, 7 to 2:45 p.m. Monday through Friday. You can dispose of bulk items, construction debris, vegetative waste. Plainfield residents, they get a different rate than out-of-towners. Anyone that's from an out-of-towner, in other communities, You got a 1 ton minimum, and it's $135 per ton. We want to use our facility for the residents of Plainfield. It's a different rate, it's 6 cents a pound, and you can pay whatever you bring in. A lot of transactions are, a couple of dollars, depending on how much the weight is. But again, for Plainfield residents, it's a reduced rate. We also have roll-off services. If you have any construction going on in your house, or you want to do a cleanup in your garage, and it's a little larger than the free bulk pickups, we do have containers you can drop off at your house and pick them up. We have a convenience center here. This is really important. I'm sorry if I'm putting some people to sleep, but the convenience center has a lot of items, a lot of services you can bring to us for free. You can bring electronic waste, engine oil, antifreeze, cooking oil, clothing donations, recyclables, cans, bottles, papers, plastics. We also have summer hours that we extended on Saturdays, so you can come out and bring your items. You can't do it during the week. We also partner with the Union County. They're having paper shredding events, and they have ways to get rid of paint and fluorescent light bulbs, batteries like that. So again, if you're in the area, my office is at 95 Rock Ave. Stop by, you can have a cup of coffee with me. If there's any disposal items or any issues you may have with your service, please don't hesitate to call me or my office. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Aren't you excited? A lot of things happening in Plainfield, right? Plainfield's gonna move, right? Everything we do here, from a development standpoint to solid waste to WIC, everything that's going on in fire, everything's so important. So I'm just going to talk about our infrastructure, what we're trying to do in the city of Plainfield. Right now, I guess you see about 28. You're familiar with that area. West Front Street, we're going from the Zelman borderline down to the Finland borderline of Plainfield. All that's going to be done with no tax dollar. The mayor made things happen for us, but we're getting almost $12 million in funding to cover that whole area. There's traffic lights, milling paving, handicap ramps, inlets. Everything's going to be done there to make things better with that whole area, again, with no tax dollars. That's so important, and that's throughout those complaints that's going to make it so much better. A lot of folks complaining saying that, guess what, we can't get around. But in order to have progress, you have to have some form of interruption, right? Just think about getting your kitchen remodeled, whatever that has to take place. You have to move and do things in another way. But this is so important. And with this being done too, this just adds to what we're doing. There's a Safe Streets and Roads program that we're going to be a part of. It's a federal program. We received $400,000. We're going to put an action plan together for the city of Plainfield. That's for new crosswalks, more traffic lights, pedestrian walkways, inlets, everything at no cost to taxpayers as well. That's something we're doing to move forward with that. I have someone in the back of the room too that's going to take notes for anyone who has anything that you want to add to the list, whether it be for street signs being replaced, stop signs, all kinds of traffic lights. We're looking to do everything we can to enhance the city of Plainfield's infrastructure across the city. It's going to make everything work better for everyone. So we're looking for everyone just to add to that, whatever you may have. See something, say something, let our folks know, because they're in the back to take the notes for you for anything dealing with traffic, anything you have, because I think one of the residents here mentioned at last meeting about street signs. So we want to touch on all of that. So give us some locations, we have forms, so we can go out there and make things happen through it to enhance all of that. And again, crosswalks, we want to do elevated crosswalks, but it'll be safety for everyone, with flashing lights, etc. across the city. Currently right now in the city of Plainfield, we have 39 four-way stop intersections in the city. So we're doing everything we do to enhance the safety of all residents from an infrastructure standpoint. In addition to milling and paving roads across the city. We mill and pave maybe 7 to 8 miles of roadway over the past year and a half. So we're looking to enhance that with all grant funds that we get from throughout. With minimizing capital funds and using more grant funding to get this work done. In addition to, you may have touched upon everything going on with all the recreation projects we have going on. We're proud of this. Because rural development enhances everything. Everyone wants great recreation when they come to town to purchase, so it enhances everything. all the projects we have, we got maybe $7 million, $8 million in grant funds, Green Acres grant funds that we're using to cover costs for all these projects, which is so important and a benefit to everyone. So it's a lot of things happening in Plainfield. Our urban parks grants, Green Acres grants, every grant that we have, we're doing everything to make things better. At Stockton Field, which is in your neighborhood, we're going to put an ADA inclusive playground over there as well. We applied for that, so that's in the works right now. The procurement process is taking place to enhance that park and to add other amenities as we move forward as other Green Acres projects get completed. Because we have to do 2 Green Acres projects a year before we can apply for new funds to move things forward with certain projects. So everything we're doing, we're going to move to make things better in the city of Plainfield for everyone. But I want you to take advantage of that, please, because the safe street/roads that we're trying to do in conjunction with the police department, all accident data we need from them, and all other data for the things that happen at various intersections and things. So we need all information we can get from everyone to address all issues. I mean, that saying we all have to see something, say something. It means everything to us, because we're still riding around checking the roads to see what stop signs will be needed, street signs are needed, whatever it is. It all enhances the quality of life that we're talking about to make things better for everyone. So the health, safety, and welfare and quality of life is so important to us from an infrastructure standpoint across the city. So we want everyone's input that you may have too. And again, I can't say enough. We have someone back there taking notes. I want you to answer in the back and everyone else. We're going to put a major action plan in place for the city of Plainfield with the congressional funds that we have to benefit everyone with traffic lights, pedestrian walkway lights, crosswalks. Everything across the city is so important to us to enhance the infrastructure for the city of Plainfield for everyone. So that's really important. So those are some things I want to say, but I'm available to talk to anyone after this. We can go further with everything. Okay? Appreciate it.
I think I'll be okay. I'm going to try. Safety. That's my department. But the police department really touches on everything. Right? As Director Dabney just said, health, safety, and welfare. Those are quality of life issues. Those are issues that the police department has to deal with on a daily basis. And we take a great deal of pride in making and transforming the city of Plainfield. We want the city of Plainfield to be a place where people feel that they can live, work, and play, where they can come and have a good time, where they can take their wife out to dinner, where they can go see something at the P-PAC and feel comfortable doing all of that. So let me tell you some of the ways in which the police department is doing these things. First of all, crime has been down in Plainfield over the past decade or so. It's really been ramped up over the past several years with some of the initiatives that we have taken on. Now, in the first 55 days of this year alone, violent crime in Plainfield is actually down 32% over 2024. Overall crime in the city in the first 55 days of this year is down 10%. This is due to initiatives that we have launched through the police department, things that we have continued from last year, things that we have put into place that are starting to bear fruit. So let me talk about a few things today. First of all, as you may well know, we've talked about it quite a bit recently, we had no homicides in the city of Plainfield in the calendar year of 2024. That is a major accomplishment. That has not taken place in probably the last 70 years. But let's go a little bit further into that. Actually, we haven't had a homicide in Plainfield since we had a stabbing at the main train station in July of 2023. That was 19 months ago. That was the only homicide we had that year. So if you expand it out, we're probably at about almost 30 months of having one homicide in the city of Plainfield. Those are numbers that we haven't seen in a long time. That is a community-wide effort. That is people caring about each other and doing what they have to do. That is the work of the police department. That is the work of every other agency up here. All of us working together to address different things in the city, make people feel safer, provide for other people's needs, make sure people can, take care of their families. They have the health department or whatever other department in the city is there so that they feel better about themselves and they are not trying to harm others. All right? Now, traffic calming measures. Director Dabney also just spoke about that, whether it's speed humps, whether it's four-way stop signs, whether it's some new innovations that you'll start to see around the city where we are putting in permanent radar signs. There's one on Pemberton Avenue. There's several that are going to come to every ward in the city over the next maybe 15 months. We've ordered all these things. We're waiting for the parts to come in. We want to make sure that we are addressing the traffic and speeding issues in the city. We're going to do that also through aggressive enforcement. I talked about this over the past, and we're really going to hammer it down this year. We will be pulling people over, and we will be writing speeding tickets. Okay? So please do not call my office, seeing if you can, get out of these things and different things of that nature. We want to warn the public because the safety, and I've said this before, safety of the children of this city and of our seniors is of paramount importance to me. I do not want to see anyone being harmed through an automobile accident, through a car crash, through someone speeding, any of these types of things. They have happened in the past, and we really have no tolerance thing for this anymore. So you will see much more aggressive speeding enforcement in the city of Plainfield. Now, there's other things that we have done to help drive crime down. There's a strategic placement of officers and resources for maximum efficiency. What you have started to see is that a lot of times some of our crime is driven through the downtown area. We have poured a lot of resources into downtown Plainfield because the mayor has given me an edict where he wants to make downtown Plainfield a walkable downtown. But like I said before, you can take your wife or your loved one, your significant other downtown Plainfield to grab a dinner, to have something to eat, to enjoy yourselves, to listen to music, maybe go have a drink. We want people to feel extremely safe in the downtown area because years ago, Plainfield was one of the most beautiful downtowns in the state of New Jersey. That is the goal. That is the goal of the police department. Now, with that being said, there are things that we are doing to make sure that that happens. One is through Director Fields and Economic Development, and you receive funding, we were able to attain a mobile precinct, which did not cost the city of Plainfield taxpayers any money. It did not come out of our budget. It came from state resources. That vehicle is in-house. We have it now. We were able to procure it very quickly. It will go into service next week. You will begin to see it in the downtown area. It functions as a complete police department on wheels. We can deploy it in areas downtown. We can deploy it on South Avenue. We can deploy it in other areas throughout the city, but its main focus will be in the downtown area because that's where our main focus is right now. We're going to do everything that we can to address all the issues that we're having downtown. Now, after talking about that, there's some other things. We also restarted a program that was, in my memory or in my recollection, was started by retired Captain Elmine, who's actually sitting here in the front row, and it's called Neighborhood Watch. This is something that we have started back up. It's something that you will see come online now. What it really means is we've taken an old idea and we put a new spin on it. Through technology and through everything that you have nowadays, ring cameras, point cameras, all of this information, we're able to feed all of this information into our police department, where we can effectively deploy people, but we can also get buy-in from the community where people start to know their neighbors. They start to feel close to each other. They pick a block captain. They get together, so if I'm on vacation, my neighbor will be watching my house. If there's an Amazon package that comes there, they will pick it up for me. Or I will let them know that I'll be going out of town and understand that they will be taking care of my property, and they will let the police department and the block captains know that. So it's a synergistic effort where we get more buy-in from the residents in the community, and it allows us to be more effective at our job as the police department. The other thing I wanted to talk about briefly, because I could talk on and on and on, is the community outreach that we do. We care about our children in the city. As most of you know, we have our award-winning Queen City Mentoring Academy. I'm sure everybody has seen them. Everybody's seen the work that they're doing. It's been applauded on the state, federal, county level. They love what we're doing with this academy. It will be coming up in this, summertime. Once again, this is something that is provided by the mayor through the citizens of Plainfield. There's no cost to the children who participate in it. And this is something that is very different from almost every other town. Most towns only provide a summer academy for children for a week. And those children have to pay for that. In this city, we put our money where our mouth is. We care about our children. We provide a mentoring academy to the children of this city for a month. Not for a week, for a month. And it is free of charge to the children who attended. The trips they go on, their food, their uniforms, the officers and the individuals that tie into this program. All of this is done through the city of Plainfield at no cost to the parents of these children. That is something that, as a community, we should applaud because, like I said, no one else out there is doing that. And that is a commitment to our children that we will keep up. But we have also continued that academy to cover that small week in the wintertime where children are out for the Christmas holiday. We cover that week as well. We provide them services, we provide them lunch, we may take them to the movies. There are other things that we do during that week. And this is some of the community outreach that the police department does within the city. And with that, I'm done. If anyone wants to speak to me, if you have any questions or any concerns, I am always available. If you don't feel like staying tonight, and you want to call me on the phone, I'll give you my number right now, so you can write it down. That is 908 217 0912. 908-217-0912. If you feel like you need to talk to me for a longer period of time, you can always call me on the phone. We will address any issues that you may have. With that, I'm done. Thank you very much.
I just want to quickly recognize the presence of Second Ward Councilwoman Dr. Darcella Sessoms. She's here with us tonight.
You've heard from all of the directors, and now it's your turn. We want to hear from you. There is a microphone that will be passed around, and who has that microphone? And you will not be able to hold the microphone, it will be held for you. So, and when you speak to us, give us your name and address so we know, and your colleagues, your friends, your neighbors will know who is speaking. So you can ask any. Yeah, and once you give your name and address, the folks online will also know who is.
For those who are watching online, you can put your questions in the chat, and we will read your questions so you can be heard even though you're not here.
Yeah, she was trying to communicate that to me, but I wasn't getting it, so. But we were, as a team. So please give your name, address, and you can ask the question or questions that are on your mind, and we want to make this as participatory as possible, giving everyone an opportunity. So, first question.
Hi, my name is Betty Pricer. I live at 970 Belvedere Avenue. And to the point that you made earlier about all the new residences, apartments, I didn't hear anything about a supermarket.
I'm going to let our Director of Economic Development handle that. We understand that the people in our city need a diversified shopping experience. We have a couple of supermarkets in the city. We don't have ShopRite, we don't have Wegmans, and we are very focused on bringing one of those type supermarkets to our city. We have Twin City, we have Supremo, and a couple of the smaller ones, but we are focused on bringing a bigger, better name brand supermarket to our city.
I would just like any, it doesn't have to be huge, it'd be nice. But right now, the one on the south is closing, Flying Fair.
So yes, that is closing or it has closed. But I can tell you, if you venture into our downtown, you will find a huge supermarket known as Supremos. It is on Front and Roosevelt. Front and Roosevelt. There's also one called Twin City that is on 7th and Park. But we continue to work on providing a bigger, better shopping experience for everyone that lives here by way of a brand name supermarket.
So, just to expand on what the mayor was saying, so we recognize that Fine Fair recently closed. We are currently looking at other supermarkets as well as farmers markets that could possibly take that place of that Fine Fair immediately and reuse some of the material in there. We are working directly with the developer for that. The mayor mentioned something earlier, so if you look at one of our redevelopment plans, we recognize that we need a larger anchor supermarket. So we have been looking at anything from Wegmans to Trader Joe's to Acme to ShopRite to locate in there. So we talk with developers often. We recently contracted with a retail recruiter where we're gonna focus on getting a grocery store in our area.
Next question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me at 315 Sumner across the street, Plainfield. So I want to thank you for bringing this presentation to us this evening. It means a lot to us. So we live right across the street, across from the school. A couple of things I have. I want to thank you for putting in those speed houses, whatever you call it. I don't know. Thank you for that. We appreciate that because the school is right here, and we appreciate it. I had a good experience with someone in LA. There was one day I came out of the house and was looking at me in the street, but I couldn't shoot across. So of course I called and asked someone to come and take care of that before the children were out of school, and sure enough they took care of it. I appreciate that. That's important. I explained to the gentleman on the phone that we have little children and they run and they don't always look where they're going. We wouldn't want a child to step on that or fall on that, so they took care of it, and I appreciate that. Second thing, one of the major things that I have concerns with is that the vehicles that we have the documents. I don't know if there's anyone else in the city, but we have a house 3 houses down from where we live. He works on those vehicles and I call the police, you know, they talk to him and he might stop. What he does is he takes the tires on the street, tires off the car, takes the hood off the car, and he starts working. So he adds the money to the cars. And of course, if you live on the street and when they come down the street, it's extremely loud. I don't know what we can do as a city or what the council can do if you can institute an ordinance or something. It needs to be stopped. Because at this point, it's out of control. So I'm just saying, as a resident homeowner, I think we need to work on that and handle that. I'm sure I'm not the only resident that has an issue with that. So that would be very important. The next 5 meetings, perhaps something will be done about that, and I appreciate that. I want to thank you for the stop signs. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. I'm speaking only for me, but I'm speaking for all the people in Plainfield that may not stand up to say this, but we appreciate those stop signs. It means a lot to us. One more thing, we thank you for 3rd Street. You know how to put that bus. That was big, and that's huge. The street has been cleaned up. There's not so many lumps and bumps. You know, your car don't fall apart when you're driving down 3rd Street. And we thank you so much for that. We do have lines for the children are crossing. That's very important by the school. But we can put a couple other lines on the street because, you know, we have people that park there, but they're taking the bus. I believe they're taking the bus into the city. They park on 3rd Street right across Carroll. A lot of parking. So I don't know what we can do about that, but that's something to consider. I'll have someone take a look at. So I think that would be all. Thank you so much.
I can speak on part of what Ms. Evelyn said, if you want me to, Mayor. The issue with the loud mufflers is an issue that we face throughout the city. The biggest problem with it is, a loud muffler on a car goes by, somebody calls the police department. By the time the police department gets on scene, the car is gone. So there is a ordinance in, I don't know why the mic is doing that. There's an ordinance, and there's an ordinance in New York City that deals with that. And and we have ordinances on the books that can handle it. There is actually a machine that you can purchase that reads those decibels, and the camera takes a picture of a car driving by. There are several towns in the state that are looking at it. We would have to get something done from the state level to get those types of cameras approved in the state of New Jersey, because currently they're not. But I mentioned it, I think, at a council meeting last year. It's something that we're looking at trying to do here in town. If we can get them approved on the state level, we will buy those cameras, we'll find funding to get those cameras, and we will start to put them up throughout the city. And that's probably the best way to rectify that type of problem. Because calling, it just doesn't work. Just being honest with you. So we do have a plan. It's just that, it's a plan that's going to take us some time to kind of work our way through it, work all the kinks out of it, and try to get some of the things done. But I know we have support from some of our state legislators, so we are working on this. I just wanted to let you know that. Okay? You're welcome.
Next question, please.
Evening. My name is Staff Sergeant, retired. I've been living in Plainfield all my life. I left Plainfield at 17 and went into the service. I came back in 2019. I didn't like what I seen when I came back. I understand you're doing beautification, which they need the parks and the recreation and everything. But where I live on 36 Andover Avenue. It's back there where the brook is. It floods there. A lot of the elderly people that have been living there, I've been helping them out because they got to go in their basement and take out tons and tons of water. Now, a lot of the houses was built in 1939 and 1950 because I've been going around looking at all this stuff. Now, if you want to do something for the taxpayers, the elderly ones I'm talking about, like my mother, my great aunt, that lived on Andover, Wally, Raymond Avenue, of course, my whole family is from that area. We need to do something about the flooding that's tearing up the area right there, because it floods. When we just had that snow, that rain, it floods. Now, y'all put that park, Mill Campbell, because of the flood, but it's not helping. It goes down the hills, and it goes into that reservoir, but it's not doing no good for the people that own these houses. And they've been living there paying taxes, and the taxes are going up, but you're not looking out for the people that have been living here for the longest. That's all I got to say.
So we'll answer that in two ways, and the business administrator will also speak to this as well. The issue that you just described is one that is plaguing every municipality along the Greenbrook, from the western part of the Greenbrook all the way up to this eastern end, Plainfield and Fanwood and Scotch Plains. And some of you may know that 4 or 5 decades ago, as a result of a very bad flood in the city, where some people died, the Greenbrook Flood Control Commission was created. It is funded by the Army Corps of Engineers, and each year there is an appropriation in the federal budget that comes to the Greenbrook Flood Control Commission. And the project started on the western side of the Greenbrook, and it's making its way up to this eastern side. And Plainfield is a member of that commission, and we have 2 representatives sitting here at this table who represent Plainfield on the Greenbrook Flood Control and Prevention. So it is a major project, and that is the solution to the flooding that we in Plainfield face whenever there's a major storm. And it's not just Plainfield, but it's those other towns that I mentioned. And so in order for us to really get to the solution that will alleviate the flooding that is caused by the Greenbrook, the project that is being done by the Army Corps of Engineers has to make its way up this eastern part of the Greenbrook. The work continues. We will continue to participate in the monthly meetings. One is hosted here in the city each year, and so it's a major project. It's ongoing, and we will stay on it because we do want you to get the relief that you see, you and your neighbors. I am aware of the flooding that occurs on Leland Avenue, on Netherwood, and all of these streets that are up this side of the Greenbrook. So we hear you, and we want to get a solution, but there's not an easy solution. But it's being worked on, and the DA will add a bit more to what I had to say.
So, like the mayor said, we understand the problem, and we are working on everything we can do to fix the core of the issue so that this stops happening. In the meantime, we recently did a targeted mailing to people who have had enough flooding events in their home that they qualify for funding to do flood mitigation on their structure of their home. We had a meeting at PPAC maybe 3 weeks ago where we brought in the state OEM, our OEM, and we spoke to people. I don't know if anybody here was at that meeting. We spoke to people who qualify for up to 100% of funding for flood mitigation efforts on their home. And the city, as you know, we would be the intermediary for the funds, we are willing to work with people who are eligible for these funds and put out the money for them so that there is no, you don't have to take out a loan, you don't have to, put up front the money and then get reimbursed by the federal government. The city would do that because we have the cash flow to be able to do that for people who are 100% eligible. And so we met with people, we talked about it, and then we've had a few follow-up Zooms with people who are eligible. Like I said, you have to have a certain number of flood instances at your home in order to be eligible. And I just encourage everybody to double check your emails if you've had many flood instances at your home that you've run through your insurance, because that's how they get the numbers, through insurance. And double check your email or reach out to me and let me know if you've had multiple flood experiences and you didn't get that targeted mailing, please come see me after this.
Next. Yes, please. We'll take a question online right now.
So, Jeff Catherine Morales, 948 Pine Street says, regarding Pine Street, is there a reason why it's unpaved? Can this be a street that can be paved? Cars, trucks always speed down the street and the dirt is left in a cloud. And in the winter, we can't be paved because of the road. We constantly have many, many potholes. Is there someone we can call to have a conversation about that?
Yes. Feel free to call my office. The issue on Pine Street is not just about the street being a gravel street not paved, but that too is a part of a larger problem in that entire neighborhood. Pine Street, Lake Street, Highland Avenue, Watchung Avenue, Woodland Avenue, Hillside Avenue. There is a study that was done some years ago by one of the engineers that the city had at the time. And in order to address that issue, if we were to merely pave Pine Street, that would exacerbate the issue in that entire neighborhood as far as flood is concerned. So it calls for a comprehensive solution that would require retention basins in the street, on those streets that I just named: Woodland, Watchung, Hillside, Highland, Lake, Pine. We would have to address that entire area. And it's a project that we would love to do. It would require some federal assistance, because when that study was done some years ago, it was about $10 million. I would imagine it's probably more like a $20 to $25 million project, but paving Pine Street is not the solution. It would exacerbate a problem that exists in that area as far as flooding is concerned. And so we have to look at a more holistic solution to that entire area, so that we don't pave Pine Street and then the homeowners in that area who already experience flooding in their basements, when there's a major storm, the issue would be exacerbated, because the runoff of the water from paving Pine would be a huge problem, because there's no drain, there's nothing in the street. No storm sewers are in the street, and that is part of the problem that needs a comprehensive solution. I have a question.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jordan. I'm not a resident. We have Bill's Luncheonette and 160 Sprung Street. And right now we're struggling with our business. And the main issue is no parking anywhere. They talked before about building in lot 6, which is gonna shut us down completely. We have 2 businesses already across the street from us. They're shutting down because downtown is dying every day. And Saturdays and Sundays, it's the worst. By 10 o'clock, you can find no parking spot anywhere. Front Street, it's always packed. There's so many apartments around. I mean, I heard everybody say about building, but nobody say anything about parking for the people who are supposed to park. We get there 6 o'clock in the morning, and lot 6, 75% of the lot is full already, with cars. Saturday and Sunday by 9:30, you cannot get a parking anywhere. Lot 6, Front Street, everything is packed. I don't know where these people coming from, but our business, we're there for 39 years, and this is the worst we saw our business dying day by day. So I don't know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just shut the doors, because I heard a lot of people saying, we try to make downtown nice, we try to make downtown beautiful again. But it's not gonna work if people have nowhere to park, nowhere to walk.
I would ask our Director of Economic Development to address your concerns, but the one thing we don't want you to do is to close your doors.
Right now, we can barely pay our people. We have to ask everybody to take an extra day off. We can barely pay our bills. In some weeks, we don't get paid because we don't have enough money. So if it continues like this, we'll have no other choice.
Can I ask you a question before we answer? How long have you been experiencing the problem that you noticed this?
I would say the past 3 years. By every year, it's going down and down and down, more and more. This year, we got to the point that we have to ask our employees, all of them, to take an extra day off.
Director, please.
So, first off, knowing that you're in lot 6, because that was the development we were talking about behind Citizens Bank. So, we definitely recognize that during construction, it's going to be an inconvenience. We are looking at an alternative plan. We plan to come out and meet with you and the surrounding businesses in the lots to talk about that plan, where you're going to be able to park in other neighboring lots and in other locations along the street. In the long term, just know that all the spaces that are currently in parking lot number 6 are going to remain under the city management.
so there's 125 lots, parking spaces, excuse me, those 125 parking spaces are going to remain after the construction of the building. We are looking into additional parking decks, for example. So we're looking at the possibility of building parking decks that would be behind lot number 1. That's gonna add additional spaces. We are looking at parking decks that can be built closer to the train station. We do recognize that we have a parking challenge that for the businesses as well as the residents. So our parking utility, we did do a strategic parking plan last year. We are still working on implementing those things. But I know you've been down to the parking utility several times, and we're going to continue talking to you about it. The problem is that lot 6 is closed down. It's gonna kill Brunswick. And another thing, the police department, they're planning to bring down a van, because I was in the police meeting, and a lot of the customers, especially the Spanish customers, they don't know deal with it. Because they say once the van is gonna come down, they don't know if it's gonna be the police or it's gonna be someone out to get them. So Brunswick is gonna die even more.
I just gotta chime in on that. It's our van. It's clearly marked. ICE will not be in our van. It will be the same thing that we do every other day. We're not down there to bother merchant shopping. We're not down there to do anything. We're down there to clean up the area, make sure that parking is taken care of, make sure that there are no crimes being committed in the downtown area, and we're not down there to deal with undocumented persons. That's not our function. So if the van or the mobile precinct, rather say, if it's there, it's clearly marked, ICE does not work with us, it won't be in the van, there's no association. And unfortunately, we can keep saying this, but I can show people better than I can tell them. When they see the van down there and they see what our function is, they will understand. We are not down there for them. We're down there to make sure that the area is clean. And the mobile precinct more than likely will not be parked in the area where Bill's Luncheonette is at. It will probably be further down West Front, it will probably be further up Park Avenue. It won't be really in that area of Lot 6 or where you are. So I don't think that's a problem. I can understand maybe some of the concern because, you know, if people don't know what's going on, rumors get started and people get things going on in their head. But once we start to apply it and they see it for themselves, they'll feel more comfortable about it. But we're not there to harm any of the folks down there. That's not our function.
Thank you.
I'm going to take another question from the same.
My name is Julia Jackson. I live at 1478 Hazelwood Terrace in Plainfield. First of all, I want to thank the EMS and the police department. 6 months ago, they had to respond to my house. I was having a heart attack, and he passed away. Thank you for that. But also, I would like to know if you have any funding so I can fix up my house, because before somebody, my husband was working on it, they told him to call someplace in Broadway. He went down there, they said they didn't have any funding for Plainfield. I'm a senior, and all the places I tried to get my house worked on, I had plumbers come, charge me $400, didn't do nothing. I have a leaky bathroom, and I just need somebody to work with me that's not going to try to rob me. So do you have any help for me?
I think we might be able to help you. I'm going to ask Director Brown to handle this, and you can probably speak to him offline.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I was going to say as well. After the meeting, we can talk.
Hello, good evening everyone. My name is Sadie Colker, and I live at 321 East 3rd Street. I'd like to thank you for all you do in the city. I moved here when I was 16 years old, and it was not the best. I like to communicate that I'm thankful I grew up here in Plainfield. I don't know any other city around. And I just graduated from Middlesex County College. And I like to talk and speak up for the young community that it's experienced less on the employment or jobs. We are unable, and I'm talking about my experience, to find a job because short experience or not experience at all, and many young people or young the community, the young community is going through the same. I feel like because of experience, not experience, most of it. So I hear about housing and affordable supermarkets and all this, but I hear nothing about employment for everyone. So if there's something that the community is doing for it, it would be nice to hear about it.
Sure. We have been hiring a number of people, and we have put people to work, whether you live on the east end or the west end. And young people like yourself, we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to be employed. You go to school, you work hard. So we want to help you. We want to help the people of the city to be gainfully employed. And so we post jobs on our website all the time. But I would also encourage you to stop by City Hall if you have more specific questions, and we can help to guide you and to help you. You are young, you want to be gainfully employed, we want to help you. Stop by my office in City Hall. The business administrator who's sitting up here, her name is Abby Levinson. She's also the director of human resources. So stop by City Hall and we'll have a chat with you.
One more question. And this question is for the Plainfield Police Director. I heard about the academy for the kids. I probably missed the name and the dates they operate and like what's the process. I know you gave your number, but I don't want to call you just for that.
That's fine, you could, I mean, people call me for all types of things, it's fine. It's the Queen City Mentoring Academy. It takes place in the summertime when school is out. The paperwork goes out through the school systems so that most kids can, sign up. It's a first come, first served basis. Last year was our highest number, we had 100 kids, which is a lot, but in the grand scheme of the school system, it's not a lot. So, reach out to my office and we'll try to set something up. Or we can call the BA, Abby Levinson. I'll speak with her and I'll make sure we have all that information set up for you so we can get it to you, okay?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, evening, guys. My name is Prescott Butler. I live on 1424 Maple Avenue, and I'm a licensed realtor, and I heard you talking about the pilot program, which I'm very familiar with. However, I don't find most of the apartments that are being built affordable. I'll give you some examples. 803 South Avenue, that's one of the pilot programs, am I correct? Studio, 2,050. One bedroom, 2,200. One bedroom, 2,300. 803, unit 424, one bedroom, 2,350. One bedroom, 2,400. One bedroom, 2,500. I don't think that's affordable.
So I'll ask the Director of Economic Development to address the issue of the definition of affordable housing. Because we don't make the rules, we just form the rules. You haven't called what the red is, a station at Grant, which is on the west end on South 2nd Street. But the director will address what the definition based on the state of affordable housing. But in addition to that, I think I mentioned at the top that our goal is to build 1,000 additional units, all affordable. And we are well on our way in terms of commitment. I think we're at about 700 units. But I'll ask Director Brown to address that with some more specific, not directors of no bid deals, with some more specificity.
Yeah. Just to clarify, 803 South Avenue is a market. It is not presented as affordable building. But affordability, we range anywhere from now what we're looking at with the mayor's goal, asking for 10% to 100% affordable. Affordable ranges, according to the State Fair Housing Act, anywhere from 30% of the area median income to up to 120% of the area median income. Now, when you look at 120% of the area median income, that's for workforce housing. That's for our police, our fire, our city employees. When you're down at 30%, that's the lower range of affordability, and that's being subsidized by things like Aspire funding, low-income tax credit, also looking for new market tax credits. So if you're looking for affordability, which we are going to have available in places like the Center of Excellence, the residential that's behind it, that's 100% affordable. So you're going to find a studio that's going to be available for $600 for a studio, right? But another bill, which we just adopted at our last council meeting, which is another apartment building going over on 1314 West Front Street, that has studios available, but that's workforce studio housing. So you're going to see a studio that is still considered affordable, but it's $2,030. So it's a broad range, and it depends on the income and the subsidy that the developer is or is not getting. We are not providing subsidy for workforce housing. So when you're on the lower range, the 30% affordable, 50% affordable, 60 up to 80 AMI, they're receiving subsidies such as Aspire funding, low-income housing tax credit, and market tax credits.
I want to follow up because I've heard a lot about grants and things of that nature. And the way we're going in this country, what happens when that money dries up? What's our backup plan in order to do all of these things that you're saying you're going to do? And I do commend you for what you've done. I really do. I've been a resident here for 33 years, so I do commend you for what you've done. But I'm hearing a lot about grants and the way I'm seeing money dried up and money being taken back. What's our backup plan?
So I think what the mayor has also worked at is that he wants a diversity of housing types. So as we mentioned earlier that we had certain city properties that were available. Those city properties are, you're looking for homes for sale, and I'm sure you know that according to our land use zoning, the city property for a single family home has to be a minimum of 5,000 square feet. For a two-family home, it has to be a minimum of 10,000 square feet. So we tried to be creative and look at our zoning controls that we had in place and said, well, let's start and look at some of the property that we have that might be smaller than this, but it's an opportunity to allow affordable homes for sale. So now we have a redevelopment plan that focuses on home ownership, small lots. So you have small lots that can be up to as small as 2,400 square feet. And on that, you can build a small home for sale. And we're working with the developer. Instead of us getting a purchase price for that property, what we're putting that into is a down payment assistance fund. So we're saying to that developer, not only you're building these modern homes, which these modern homes, they would go for $800,000 if they were going on sale at market price. But we're telling them you can only sell them at about $500,000. And then you have to look at income deed restrictions, where the income has to range between 150,000 and 250,000. And then instead of us getting the money for the land, we're saying you give at least $30,000 to that potential homeowner that's a Plainfield resident to purchase that home. So I think what the mayor has done is that we have several investors in Plainfield that partner with us and try to be creative in looking at our housing options.
You take one online, and then we are back to you.
So Cornelia McLeod, I'm not sure, there's nothing addressed, but she says, with all the new buildings going on in Plainfield, which is great, has there been any thoughts about a permanent large space for senior activities other than the senior center?
Well, we do have a senior center where it's always teeming with activities. But in addition to that, we have lots of recreational activities for our seniors. The PPAC, we provide lots of activities at the PPAC. And so the space that we're talking about also as a center of excellence / recreational facility will also provide even more opportunities for our active seniors to participate in. So the senior center is a wonderful facility that offers a lot of activities for our seniors. The PPAC, we offer lots of activities there for our seniors as well. But if you're asking us, are we going to build a new separate facility for our seniors? That's not in the cards, because we do have a senior center. What we're going to be building for our seniors 55 and older, and nobody can speak about this, but we're going to be building affordable housing for our seniors 55 and above.
So, as the mayor mentioned, that's one of our affordable development. So, in Lot 8, that's going to be 100% affordable for 55 and older. That's located at 2234 Somerset Street. That's going to be 120 units. We are looking at what we can put in our commercial area, working with other developers in our downtown, where if they build senior affordable housing, they also get funding to look at, for example, medical care facilities and other activities. Also on Front Street, we do have a seniors activity center that is going to be built by one of our developers at 216 West Front Street. Senior.
That's close to McDonald's. Senior living. Next question, please.
Good evening, everyone. Shuri Coons, 141 McKinley Place. I have a couple of things that I'd like to discuss. The first thing is the lighting in the city. I know I've come to several city council meetings over the years, and I've talked about the lighting in the city. Usually I come out to a city council meeting about October when you do the fall back. As I get older, you know, it becomes difficult, you know, in the evening. You know, as I was walking into the building here, I noticed that the lights seem dim. And, you know, I don't know if there's anything that can be done about the lighting. Can we kind of boost the wattage up a little bit? Because, you know, it seems really dark. And I'll just use, you know, as we're walking into this building as an example. The next, my next issue, or the thing that I wanted to bring up, was, you know, I appreciate all of the building that is going on in the city, and I think it's a good thing that, you know, we're going through a renaissance, and we have, you know, new development coming into the city. But my question is the infrastructure of the city capable of handling the extra traffic that is going to be generated from, you know, all of this new development? I know, you know, there are times that I don't know how many of you have ever tried to drive from Rock Avenue to Tower Road. It takes a long time as you're driving through this, if you're trying to drive through the city. Sometimes I'll just go and jump on 22 so I can get down faster, because I'm really concerned about the amount of traffic that will be in the city with all of the new development. Then I have one more I'll give, and then I'll give you guys an opportunity to address them. And I'm not sure which department is responsible for addressing the overcrowding in the different properties within the city. Again, I've come to city council meetings or I've attended them online, and folks have talked about the overcrowding that seems to happen in the different properties in the city. I actually live next door to one of those properties, which seems to be a problem property. It is a 2-family house, and there has to be more than 20 people living in that property. And it seems to be a general rotation of people in and out of the house. You can always tell when the residents are changing because you see different cars. You see different cars, and then you see different people. So I'm just wondering, how and when, the administration will start to address the overpopulation in these rental properties in the city.
So I will begin to attempt to answer some of the questions that you raised. As far as the overcrowding is concerned, if you can do us a favor, and you don't have to necessarily speak it out, but if you can give us the address of that particular property that you are referencing, as far as overcrowding is concerned, we will take a look. So please, if you can give us the address of that property, it would be very helpful.
I can do that, and I can give you the homeowner's name and number too. I call them all the time. Okay.
Yeah, we will take that information from you. As far as new developments are concerned, new developments are happening across the state in an attempt to meet the demand for housing. And anyone who travels on South Avenue from as far on the western side of South Avenue, the Front Street, South Avenue, all the way east to Elizabeth, you will see what is happening in every municipality, Union County, and even outside of Union County, the same thing is happening because there's such a demand for a house. And that is something that you will see continue. The infrastructure, we have to be conscious about that, which is one of the reasons why we invest in rebuilding and repairing the infrastructure. Front Street, we just spent millions of dollars from the border with Denellen all the way up to Plainfield Avenue, and that will continue along Route 28 to our border with family. So we're investing as much as we can in the infrastructure of the city of Plainfield. It is necessary, and to the extent that we're able to do that, we're going to do it. We will focus on grant dollars to do a lot of this work, especially on Route 28. This is a state highway. And I don't believe in spending your tax dollars, our tax dollars, on rebuilding a state highway. And because that has long been my policy, we reached out and we got grant funding with the assistance of Assemblywoman Carter, the assistance of State Senate President Lisa McCarthy. And so we have been able to bring millions of dollars into the coffers of the city to rebuild Route 28, which is a state highway, and we get grant funding to help us with other roadways in the city as well, and we're going to continue to do that. As far as the lights in the city are concerned, we have this program called Light Up the City, this initiative, and we would like to replace as many of the lights as possible across the city with LED lights. And in the different parts of the city, where there's what I call darkness, where there isn't enough light, we encourage our residents. We need your help. There's that metal strip that is on every utility pole. If you can help us by giving us that number that is on that pole, on that metal strip that is on every pole, it will help us to address the concerns that the residents have in some neighborhoods about lighting. And if there is a light on that pole that is too dim, our goal is to change that out to an LED light. If there's a pole that doesn't have a light, and you would like to have a light on that pole, give us the strip number on that pole, and we will make sure that we install lights in areas where there's darkness. That is a commitment of this administration. We will light up the city. We need your help. Give us the numbers on those poles, and we will make sure we act upon that request in order to put more lights across the city and to change out light bulbs to LED lights. I hope I answered your questions or your concerns. Next question.
I'm Gerard Polius on 689 Eastern Street. I've been there over 15 years, 16, maybe going 18. And for the past 3 years, my rent has gone up by 57%. Do I have any redress? I know that you plan to put on a rent control ordinance. Can you make it 2% instead of 5%?
So there was a rent control ordinance that was introduced, and it was tabled at the last meeting because of a number of concerns that we've heard from across the city, from people like yourself, from many different parts of the city. And so the intention is to rework that ordinance, to hear the concerns that people have brought to our attention, and to go back to the drawing board as far as that ordinance is concerned. I must tell you that the issue of rent control is older than most of us in this room. There have been many attempts over the years, dating back to the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, and it's always a challenge to get to the right place. But it is something that the governing body and the administration have been looking at, and we will continue to do that.
Will you actually do it this year?
What?
I wanted it in March, actually.
Say that again.
Like March next month. I want it done in March. Like effective the first. I've been for 3 years. My rent went up by 57%.
What I can tell you is that we hear you, we've heard others. I don't doubt you one second. We've heard you, we've heard others, and it's been looked at by the administration.
Multi-dwelling units, right? The big apartment complexes. There's an ordinance for 1 parking space per resident. Can you change that to 2 and force them to open up some spaces?
It doesn't work like that. And if we are to build more housing to meet the need and the demand, we have to adhere to what the state statute allows. And there's no better person to speak on this than the Director of Economic Development. We follow the law, and we do what we have to in order to meet the housing demand in the city. That plays a role because the amount of parking spaces will help to determine the number of units that are able to be built.
No, I'm not talking about new properties. I'm talking about old properties that exist on Front Street.
No. So what would you like us to do?
The ordinance says 1 parking space.
Okay.
For multi-dwellings, right? Multiple dwellings.
Okay.
Why can't you change it to 2 per resident?
Husband
and wife.
Let me just make sure that I'm hearing you.
Yeah.
You would like us
Change the ordinance to
for
state 2.
existing apartment units to change the ordinance.
Not all. The big ones.
Or yours.
Mine. Because I cannot get a parking space. And they're charging a humongous amount of money for their parking spots.
Let me ask you this. So if we change the ordinance
Yes.
to give you 2 spaces,
Yes.
what will happen to the other tenants in your building?
Not just me, I mean, it's gonna help. And they have a lot of open space with green grass. You know, maybe we can open up that space.
We hear you loud.
And with the lighting, I suggest the director of police have his team look at all the lights around when they patrol the area and suggest.
And that's a good point. And we do that. Police normally, does that as patrols are being done. But we also need your help. We need you to tell us what that number is on that pole, where you would like to see a light, or where you would like the light that is there to be brighter. That's where we need the partnership with the community. We need your help. We don't do it by ourselves. That information can be communicated to my office. We have Director Dabney here, who's responsible for DPW. It can be communicated to his department. But I guarantee you that when it comes to the mayor's office, we will make sure that it gets addressed. So we encourage everyone who has this concern to direct those concerns to City Hall.
So really quick. So yeah, you can also talk to your council people as well. We've all been instrumental in adding streetlights to all of our wards, respectively. And so I know that in the first ward, we've added at least 11 new lights to our poles. This is about 2 years ago that we've done that. And we've done that in partnership with PSC&G. To your point with respect to your landlord raising rent, I don't know where you live, but I think that we need to make available our tenant bill of rights so that you guys understand what your landlord can and cannot do as far as raising your rent. And if they're going to raise your rent, they have to give you a specific amount of notice. So I will help bring forth the tenant's bill of rights so that you guys understand what your landlord can and cannot do with respect to raising your rent and all that other good stuff. So I'll make that available to you so that we understand, so that we are sure that our landlord is doing the right thing.
Other question?
Yeah, we have some questions from online, actually 2 from Quanae Palmer Chambliss. She says, what are we doing for people who want to start a family in Plainfield? 2 bedrooms will not curb reproduction. We need 3 and in some cases 4-bedroom apartments for families. So that's one question. And I'll read the other and then we can take them separately. Can you clarify the parking rules the state sets? Are they max or minimum?
As far as the apartment, so in order to receive subsidies for affordable housing or affordable apartments that we're going to have, for example, in the Center of Excellence, you are required to have 3-bedroom apartments and so many. So in certain areas, we do build 3-bedroom apartments. In terms of 4-bedroom apartments, we don't have many 4-bedroom apartments, but in terms of the townhomes as well as the affordable homes for sale, they are 4-bedroom. Then looking at the parking question. So the parking question is looking at minimum parking that's available per unit. So in certain cases, you have a 1-to-1 standard. In other cases, you have a 1 unit to 0.8 standard. So that is a minimum. In certain cases, we have developers that offer more parking than they're required to for a unit.
We go to the next person.
Testing.
We can't hear the question.
I was fallen firefighter Marquise Hudson's partner of 12 years and mother to his youngest child. Marquise lost his life in service to the city, and our lives have been forever impacted by his death. While the city of Plainfield has designated a holiday to honor his sacrifice, I was wondering why there was no public acknowledgement of his 1-year anniversary of his passing, especially considering his dedication to this community. Could you please explain the reasoning behind this and what steps the city plans to take to better honor fallen fire responders in the future? I'd like to note that I have left multiple comments on the City of Plainfield's social media, and all of my comments were ignored and promptly deleted. My mother has also called down to City Hall. She didn't really get a response as to why he wasn't acknowledged on his 1-year anniversary. I'm hoping now that in front of this audience, you provide me with answers that I can share with our children and our families. It took a lot for me to even come here today, since he lost his life right across the street. So I do want to thank the fire department for acknowledging his passing on his 1-year anniversary, and then also, I don't see him here, but Mayor-elect Richard Wyatt for coming out and supporting privately and publicly. So I guess my question is, since you guys said that you guys wanted to have a day honored to him, why did the city not publicly acknowledge his passing on his 1-year anniversary outside of the fire department?
Can you repeat who you are, your relation to our fallen firefighter?
His girlfriend of 12 years and mother to his youngest child. We've met, we've actually delivered the news when he passed to us.
So
I am aware that there is going to be a trophy on his behalf, but again, it's more so why he wasn't acknowledged on his 1-year passing, especially since he was the first firefighter to lose his life in the line of duty in this city.
What I can say to you and to the members of the general public is that the death of Lieutenant Hudson was very hard on all of us. And we have done everything we possibly could to assist and to support Marquise's family, his offspring, and to be there in that gap that was created by his passing. So we have done everything that we could. But even beyond that, we have a major memorial plan, which the goal is to unveil that in the spring. And that memorial will have a life-size image of the late Lieutenant Hudson. So when it comes to recognition, we are very, very consciously aware of the need to do what is right by those who have served this city and who have given their all, given their lives. And it's not only Marquise that we're going to honor. We're going to honor all fallen firefighters from the city of Plainfield with a major memorial that will stand forever. And that's what we're doing. And so we apologize to you if you felt that there should have been some other acknowledgement on an annual basis, if that's what you advise. We apologize if that's the way you feel. But I can tell you, we will continue to remember Lieutenant Hudson, and that's the reason why we have taken the steps to create a memorial to Marquise and the other fallen firefighters from the city of Plainfield.
So So I do understand that and I do appreciate that, but again, not to acknowledge his life on his 1-year anniversary. I understand we're going to do that in the future, and I'm very happy about that. But he was not acknowledged 1 year after he passed away. And that's like the biggest milestone you could have is his 1-year anniversary. And no one from the city of Plainfield said anything. I looked on your Instagram, I mentioned it. You didn't respond. The city of Plainfield, they didn't respond. Tapping to Plainfield, they didn't respond. The only person that I've seen post anything was the FMBA and Mayor-elect Wyatt. I didn't see anyone else.
I'll answer that.
We have done so much for you and the family, and I am just at a loss as to why you will take the position that you take. We will continue to do all that we can for the Hudson family because of his ultimate sacrifice. He will never, ever be forgotten. I'll pass it on to the Vice Director.
On his 1-year anniversary, we did have a balloon releasing at the fire department on Staff Avenue, if you were there. The fire department is not a separate entity from the rest of the city. Whatever happens at the fire department under my guidance is also under the guidance of the mayor. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. So I wasn't there personally because I couldn't be there, but the 2 deputy chiefs were there and they spoke on behalf of myself. So he was acknowledged on that day.
I didn't say he wasn't acknowledged. I just have specifically about the city of Plainfield.
The fire department is the city of Plainfield. There's no separate. We all under the same auspice. There's no separation of. It's a separate entity. We all belong to the city of Plainfield.
Again, we apologize for the way you feel about how the situation was handled. We thought it should be handled differently, but we know what is the right thing to do. And that is to remember Lieutenant Hudson, who gave the ultimate sacrifice. He will be memorialized by a memorial that will be at the corner of Central and West 4th Street, even along with the other firefighters who gave their lives in the line of duty, serving the residents of the neighborhood. We will do the right thing, and we will always remember Lieutenant Hudson.
Okay, we'll just quickly take one from online. Lisa Logan says, what's going to be done about the water that continues to run brown and American Water doesn't do anything to correct it?
So, New Jersey American Water, the state DEP announced a month or 2 ago that there were some water issues in the city of Plainfield and in other parts of the state, and they were addressing that situation daily for a number of days. I have no indication from New Jersey American Water or from the state DEP that there's a problem with our drinking water here in the city, and if there is a specific case where someone is experiencing groundwater coming from the tap, we need to know that. We should be reported to the city, the health department, so that we can do the appropriate following. But we have no knowledge of any issues with the water quality in the city of Plainfield. If you are having a problem, by you I mean the residents of the city, please bring it to our attention, give us your specific address so that we can do the appropriate following with New Jersey American Water as well as the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. Because we want to make sure that every person is drinking safe water in our city.
Yes, my name is Elizabeth Good, and I live at 342 Hillcrest Avenue here in Plainfield. I want to know, you're talking about all the projects that you have going on in Plainfield. putting aside the buildings, but all the constructions and whatnot, you're saying that that's, you're getting congressional funding for that? My concern is that, do you have the money in the bank? Because what's going on down there in Washington, how do you know you're gonna get that money?
So I'm going to ask Director Fee to address how that works, but we don't have any funding in the bank for building housing in the city of Plainfield. That's not how it works. Developers put together the capital stack in order to build these projects. There are different funding sources that they use, whether it's low income tax credit, whether it's the Aspire tax credits that were referred to, whether that is supplemented by payment in lieu of taxes. Those are the many mechanisms that are used. But do we have $100 million in the bank for these projects? The answer is no. There are processes that are involved that get us to where we're able to cut the ribbon on new economic development projects across the city of Plainfield. Is there anything else you?
Just as long as we, the taxpayers, are not going to be stuck with the bill.
How do you think you might be stuck with the bill?
I just want to make sure that the fund is not going to be cut off. And I guess we can't tell whether or not it's done, but it's something. Do you have a backup plan in the event that something goes wrong with it?
Can I just clarify, are you speaking about housing projects, or are you speaking about all the projects
All
that
the
we're
projects.
doing? Okay. So I want to assure you that we don't start anything until we get the award letter, which is the guarantee of funds. And then we draw down from those funds. And we do that via the council process. We bring the, we need council approval to apply and accept for the grant. And then we can't start until we get that letter, that award letter, that guarantees us the funding. We don't start anything until we have that.
And if you refer to what is happening in Washington since January 20th, all of us are concerned about, well, I believe all of us are concerned about what has been happening in Washington and about the various cuts that are being made to the various budgets across the federal government. The many layoffs that are being announced almost on a daily basis. And I became aware of a term as I was driving here called rage. How many of you are familiar with rage? It's an acronym for rage. Retire all government employees. That is the plan that the administration of the new president intends to carry out. You're hearing it every day on television. You're seeing the effects of it. Retire all government employees. That is the plan of the new administration in Washington. But there have been many lawsuits filed in order to make sure that the Constitution is respected, and I believe so far we've had the judges on our side. I think we will continue to have the judges on our side. And although we're all concerned, people are not standing idly by, allowing what the new administration would like to do. They're not standing by as sitting ducks, allowing these policies to be carried out, these misguided policies. And so the tap will not be turned off in terms of funding that is going to be coming from the federal government. There's going to be a fight by attorneys all across the state, attorney generals across all of the country, and I can't promise you anything other than that there are people that are going to be fighting on behalf of the American people. And we've seen that, and the judges know what their job is, and they have been doing it for rather
effectively to blunt the force of this guiding policy that we see coming out the wall.
Okay, my next question is, we talked about bringing in homes, and we need affordable homes and all the projects that we have coming into these different cities. What are we doing to address the pollution problem that comes with that, with all the traffic?
You have raised another issue that is a concern to all of us. Global warming, the effects on the environment, clean energy. These are the things that concern all of us. Wind energy, electric energy. All of these things are so critically important. And so we're going to do our part here in the city of Plainfield. And to the extent that we could, as we are acquiring new vehicles, that we could transition from gas vehicles to electronic vehicles. We're going to be putting in charging stations in the city of Plainfield, beginning at City Hall, and our goal is to spread that across the city. So we're going to do all that we can to reduce the carbon footprint to the extent that we're able to. But there are things that we don't control. We don't control the policies coming out of Washington and what car manufacturers and others are going to be allowed to do. But we're going to play our part in Plainfield to make sure that we are stewards of the environment, because that's important to us. We have grandkids and there will be other generations that we have to plan for. Okay? So we're going to do our part to make sure that that happens.
I have one more question and I'll be finished.
Just 1 second.
Just to add, in terms of all of our building practices, not just with the new developments, but also anytime you're going for a permit from the building and construction office, we do encourage green building practices. So green building practices can be anywhere to looking for energy efficient appliances, looking at installing things like solar. We are looking for as well in terms of our practices, there might be a green roof on some of our developments. We are looking at the pedestrian mall, for example, we're going to be installing a microbars. And a microbars improves the air quality by removing the particulate matter. One of the things that we're looking at in our construction practices as well is looking at green buildings, looking at louvers. So this is something that we do consider. The mayor mentioned about the electric vehicles. We look at things when you're doing the plumbing, using things like breakwater. So this is considered in all our building practices.
I said one more, but I think it's two. I'm going to be finished. We recently had in the city of Plainfield, wherein the American Water and the utility companies came through and replaced the lines and whatnot in the city. I have a situation on my block where in one of the concrete blocks that they laid is deteriorated a year after they put it there. But when I contact American Water, they're saying it's not theirs. They didn't do it. Or they're not going to come and fix it because it's not theirs. PSNG said it's not theirs. So who do you contact to get something like that cleared up? I mean, they came through and they tore off the sidewalks and everything, and so it's up to the homeowner to get all this stuff repaired.
So I'm going to ask Director Dabney to address that. But I know that New Jersey Right from Water has been changing all of the lead lines across the city. And you should give us your address, because I'm not aware of sidewalks being disturbed as a result of the replacement of these lead lines that go from the center of the street to the curb, and then some might go from the curb into a property owner's home.
Well,
some of the parking spots.
And those lines are being changed at most residences without sidewalk being disturbed. But we need your address and we need to have someone take a look at it.
And the second question I have, not the second one, the last one, I promise. The parking in Plainfield is really terrible. And I think it was addressed already, but it's coming out the side streets. I'm a senior. And when you come out these side streets, I'm very nervous about it because you can't see over the trucks or you can't see around them when you're coming out. You're kind of like easing out and praying that nobody hits you while you're coming out. They're parking too close to these curbs. Is there anything that can be done about that? Like maybe a line drawn there wherein they're not allowed to park so far from the curb so that people can see when they're coming out of these streets?
Just that Director Dabney, we've been doing a lot of things to discourage people from parking close to the corners. We've been painting those yellow lines to push people back from the corners so that, the line of sight wouldn't be impacted by cars that are parked. I am sure we have to do it in many other parts of the city, but as these things are brought to our attention, our goal is to address all of these public safety issues.
And that's part of our safe streets and roads of management, part of the plan together. That's all part of it. Parking 50 soon like you from the corner, not blocking blind spots when people have to pull out. So all that's going to be being addressed. In addition to the other question you mentioned about the lead pipe replacement, we're looking into that as weather breaks too, because this test was put in on certain properties to check the water line for lead. So we're going to look into that with American Water and make sure they come out and check all that. So if you can leave your address with my staff in the back, and we'll address that. Okay, that'll be on our list to make sure what's going on. And we'll call for American Water, we'll address it.
It's now 9:07. We'll take 2 more questions before we wrap.
Sal Carano, 1284 East Front Street. I have a comment and hope, and then a question.
We prefer a question, sir.
I appreciate it, but I find it disingenuous that it is stated when many of us have been to city council complaining about parking with new construction that I applaud the changes, the recent changes, but I've been witness to an approval of a 0.4 parking spaces per unit, 0.5 parking spaces per unit. This is a personal question.
This one thing, that's totally inaccurate. 0.5 or 0.4 parking spaces. That is totally inaccurate. And you should not put that information out there because it's not accurate. Ask your question, please.
I will. I like the opinion of the first ward councilman as well, sir. This is personal. My neighbor, who is a contractor, who with the backing of a developer have purchased 2 or 3 properties within hundreds of feet of my property. The person who owned my neighbor's home for 6 years has attempted to change the variance, the ordinance, to make it 2-family and door. And I believe Mr. Graham knows what property I'm talking about. There is a commercial storefront that has been vacant at least 25 years. It's now been rebuilt. I'd like to know the position of the first ward councilman and the administration on whether or not they agree and approve of it as a business, as well as converting it from a single family to a 2-family.
So I'll respond and give you my opinion, Sal, regarding the young lady developer that we both know of. She owns about 3 or 4 properties in that immediate area, and I'm I'm probably not going to be 100% accurate, but this is based on the feedback that I got from her because I've spoken to her regarding the property that is next to yours on Front Street. I don't know the exact address, but she's done some things to the property that she was unaware that wasn't allowed. She's a novice developer, but doing her best. She's been going back and forth with the city. She's gotten in some trouble, as far as I know. But with regard to what she is allowed to do to her property, she's getting, I believe, the correct information now, and being led in the right direction now, by learning the hard way, by doing it wrong, because she just didn't know any better. But I will, if Zenobia knows anything about the particulars on that particular young lady, she can give you better information than I can.
Yes,
13.
okay. So, I'm not all covered, but we can give a general answer that if you do things unlawfully without a permit, it is a $1,500 fine. And it is per day, it is required.
And we've had developers that mean well, but just don't know any better. And so they've gotten themselves in trouble and they've learned to do the right thing. And now they're like really good developers. And I see that she's going to be a great developer once she really gets everything together. But she's trying hard and, you know, she's not getting away with things that she isn't supposed to be getting away with.
And I agree. She is a good developer. The workers are incredible. The work that she's done to the other properties are incredible. I have nothing against the workmanship. I just wanted to know whether a single family next to me that for 6 years, the father and son tried to convert it to a two-family and was never approved. I just wanted to know the position, whether she was approved or in support of this administration in doing so, especially about the commercial storefront.
Thank you, Mr. Corrado. I believe that Director Fields is providing you with an answer, and we will go on to the last question of the evening. Wait a minute. I will pass. Okay. With that said, I want to thank all of you for coming out this evening and participating in this town hall. We appreciate your comments, your questions. You did the best to provide you the answers. We will do more of these town halls. Next one is scheduled to be in the 2nd Ward next month. I don't recall the date, but the next one is going to be in the 2nd Ward. It's going to be March 19th. We are addressing concerns all across the city, and we invite you to continue to come out and let us have this exchange of information. Thank you. God bless you. Have a good night.